Is the Netherlands actually right for you? The honest self-assessment for non-EU entrepreneurs. Everyone around you seems to have an opinion about where you should base your business. Portugal, Netherlands, Malta, Dubai, Estonia. Someone has written an article about each of them being the best option for entrepreneurs. Someone has made a YouTube video about each of them being overrated. And if you have been researching long enough, you have found compelling arguments for all of them and probably eliminated each of them, the last ones. The problem with most of those comparisons is that they are built around whoever wrote them, their situation, their business type, their priorities. This video is built around yours. I'm going to give you the honest Netherlands picture, what it actually delivers and what it actually costs, and then a framework to determine whether it fits your specific variables, including the possibility that for your situation, it doesn't. I've worked in Netherlands immigration and business setup for many years. I have seen the same mistakes repeat, not because people are careless, but because the information out there is genuinely confusing and a lot of it is wrong. Today I want to address something that happens before the process even starts. Committing to the Netherlands before you have actually assessed whether it fits. What the Netherlands actually delivers. Let's start with the honest case for the Netherlands. EU legal standing. When you're based in the Netherlands and operating through a Dutch entity, you have access to the EU single market with the legal infrastructure that comes with it. Contracts, clients, banking, EU regulatory compliance. These are different when you're inside the EU than when you're outside. For some businesses, this matters enormously. For others, it barely registers. English language environment. The Netherlands is one of the few places in continental Europe where you can operate a business almost entirely in English. Client conversations, government interactions, professional services. The Dutch bureaucracy is not easy, but it's not a language barrier. Proximity to major markets. You're a 2-hour flight from most of Europe. If your business involves regular travel, in-person client relationships, or physical presence at European events, the location has real operational value. Stability. The Netherlands has a stable political system, predictable rule of law, a strong institutional framework. For people coming from less predictable environments, that stability has real financial value. It just doesn't show up in a tax comparison. Infrastructure and quality of life. Good healthcare systems, strong schools, functional public services. If you're moving with a family and building a life, not just a tax structure, these things are part of the calculation. Let's move on. What the Netherlands actually costs. Now the honest case against. Income tax. The Dutch top marginal rate is 49.5% on income above approximately 75,000 euros per year. It's a graduated system. You don't pay 49.5% on everything you earn, but on the portion above that bracket you do. If you're coming from a 0% tax environment like the UAE or even from a lower rate environment, this is a significant shift. I cover this in full detail in a separate video on the channel. I will link it in the description. But the short version is, you need to run the actual calculation for your income before you commit. Box 3. The Netherlands has a wealth tax that applies to your worldwide assets, savings, investments, property outside your primary residence, including money you have sitting in a UAE or Indian or Nigerian bank account. It's not a tax what those assets earn. It's a tax on the assets themselves, based on a notional return. For people with meaningful savings outside the Netherlands, this is often the tax element that surprised them most. It applies regardless of what your foreign savings actually generated. Housing. The Netherlands has one of the most acute housing markets in Europe. There is a documented shortage of over 400,000 homes. A single listing can attract 40 to 300 applicants. Landlords routinely require income documentation that new arrivals don't have yet. Finding a place to live in Amsterdam or the major cities is genuinely competitive, and the timeline to secure housing is longer than most people plan for. The startup visa waiting period. If you're coming via the startup visa route, there is currently a 4 to 6 month period during which you cannot work while the IND processes your application. That's not a theory, it's the current rule. Your financial plan needs to account for living costs during that period with no Dutch income. Year 1 costs. The all-in cost of setting up in the Netherlands, permits, legal, notary, facilitator, accountant, health insurance, and the living cost during the waiting period is significantly higher than the headline quotes suggest. I made a full video on the real number. It's on the channel. So when does the Netherlands actually make sense? When your business has or needs a genuine Dutch or EU market connection, if your clients are in the Netherlands or in the EU, if your growth plan is European, if your industry operates within EU regulatory frameworks, the Netherlands give you proximity, legal standing, and credibility that have real operational value. When stability is a primary driver, If the reason you're looking at Europe is because your home country's political or economic environment is uncertain, not just as a tax move, but as a genuine stability play, the Netherlands has one of the best options in the EU. When you're thinking long term, the Netherlands is not a quick play. The setup takes time, costs money upfront, and the tax environment is not favorable compared to some alternatives. But if you're building something over 5 or 10 years, a business with European roots, a family base with EU access, the infrastructure and stability pay dividends that don't show up in a year one calculation. Where your capital position supports it, you need to enter this process with enough runway to cover your 1 year cost, the waiting period and the early operating months before your Dutch revenue develops. If your capital position supports that, the Netherlands is a viable option. If it doesn't, the process will be extremely stressful at best, not viable at worst. When the Netherlands is not the right answer. When your client base is entirely outside the Netherlands and you're planning to keep it that way, both the startup visa and the self-employed permit require business to have genuine Dutch market impact. If your model is run my existing non-EU business remotely from an Amsterdam apartment, that's not what these routes are designed for, and the RVO scoring will catch it quickly. When you're primarily looking for tax optimization, the Netherlands has a reputation for being business friendly, and it is, but not as a low tax jurisdiction. The 30% ruling that people hear about doesn't apply to self-employed entrepreneurs on startup or self-employed permit routes. Box 3 applies to your worldwide assets. If your main goal is to minimize tax, there are jurisdictions that do that better than the Netherlands. The Netherlands offers stability, EU access, and infrastructure. On pure tax efficiency, Dubai or Malta will do more. When your timeline requires income within 3 months, if you need to be generating revenue quickly, if you're arriving with a family and a tight financial runway, the 4 to 6 month waiting period before the startup visa is approved creates a genuine problem. The process has built-in delays, and planning around them is non-negotiable. When the housing timeline doesn't fit your family situation, if you're moving with school-age children, if your partner needs to feel settled to support the move, if you're arriving without a clear housing plan, the competition for rentals will catch you off guard. Finding the right place takes longer than most immigration guides acknowledge. 3 questions to decide. First, does your business have a genuine Dutch or EU market connection? Actual clients, actual revenue, actual activity in the Netherlands? If yes, the Netherlands is a realistic option. If not, you will need to build that connection. And that has to be in your plan explicitly, not assumed. Second, can you absorb the Dutch tax reality for your income level and asset situation? Run the actual numbers, your income, your savings, the top marginal rate, box 3, and see what the effective position looks like. If it works for you, the Netherlands has things to offer. If the numbers don't work for your situation, that's the answer. Third, are you thinking 5+ years or optimizing for the first 12 months? The Netherlands rewards long-term commitment. The setup costs, the waiting periods, the process, these are front-loaded. If your horizon is long, those costs are amortized. If you're looking for something faster and lighter, the process will work against you. If the Netherlands is the right answer for your situation, the next thing to understand is which visa route actually applies to you and what the realistic end-to-end timeline looks like. Both of those videos are on the channel. Links are in the description. If the honest answer for your situation is that the Netherlands doesn't fit, that's a legitimate conclusion. A clear no is a better outcome than a wrong yes. Subscribe if you want more content like this, specifically for non-EU entrepreneurs thinking about the Netherlands.